Good afternoon. Okay, Michael Rattray. I'm the chairman this year for the Chamber of Commerce, and you ought to stand up here and see the crowd that we have out there. I know there's a lot of politicians in the crowd. I'm going to do something. For $5,000, you get 20 seconds. Anybody want to come up? Donate to the Chamber of Commerce. You get a pretty good crowd up here. So thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. Taking the time out of the day. We represent here at the Chamber. Well, first off, we have 22 board members. Could they all stand? We ought to have our board members stand because this is just a distinguished crowd. Between these board members and our ambassadors, we represent paid membership, 341 members, but really we support over 1,500 businesses here in this Goleta Valley, and we couldn't be prouder to be honored to be that voice of that customer for economic vitality. We thank the city for giving us the opportunity to recognize with a lot of other ceremonies that had the 10th year of cityhood, and let's give that a big hand too, because that's 10 years. So this is our 5th year of doing this State of the City. I'm going to get off the stage, but we have a lot of great speakers today. I think you're going to hear a couple nuggets that I think are pretty exciting. And what I'd like to do is let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to have Shandeep Audi, I believe it is. There she is. And this is the Goleta Youth of the Year for this year, and she's going to lead us, and she's from Dos Pueblos.
Ready? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
So thank you much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Shandeep, our Goleta Teen of the Year. Today is a wonderful moment for us to look at what the city has accomplished and to look ahead to our future. I'd like to thank the city, its staff, and the chamber staff for their assistance in making this event happen today. I'd also like to thank our generous sponsors, and we have 2 title sponsors this year, Marburg Industries and Bank of Santa Barbara. Thank you. And to kick us off, we're going to let you hear from Derek Carlson from Marburg.
Well, thank you. We've been given the opportunity to say a few words and offer a few words of thanks. So first of all, I would like to thank the Chamber for putting on this fabulous event for us, and also thank the city staff for all of their preparation for today's event. And I'd also like to thank the Goleta City Councils, both past and present, for their vision and hard work in shaping this community. In addition to thanking everyone for their hard work, we would also like to thank everyone for their passion that they have for the city of Goleta. For it's this fire and passion and their hard work and what we do individually that shape this community. And just to share in my experience with Marburg Industries, I see this passion, and I do see the difference that passion makes when you bring it to your business. Mario Borgatello Sr. and his brother founded Marburg Industries almost 80 years ago. And Mario Sr., who turned 94 last month, still comes into the office every single day because of his passion for what he does. And now Mario Sr.'s son, Mario and David, and their children, and all the employees of Marburg Industries share the passion of Mario Borgatello Sr. and what he brings to the company on a daily basis. So just imagine that all the people of Marburg Industries, the people dedicated to collecting your waste, are passionate about what they do. Who would have thought that anybody could be passionate about picking up trash? But they are. And let me just share what some of this passion has brought forward. This passion has resulted in innovations in recycling that have led the state and have led the nation. This passion has led to sustainable investments in this community that ensure that we are leaving the world a better place than we found it. And this passion has also led to partnerships within this community with you that have exponentially expanded the benefits that we can provide to the city of Goleta. And I know, as being a part of this community, that my experiences with Marburg are not unique. I know that passion and innovation and teamwork are replicated over and over again throughout this community and throughout this room. Everyone in this room, through their businesses and individual passions, transform this community into a fantastic place to work and live. And we know this because our company couldn't function without you. And it's only with the collaboration of the community and individuals that we can succeed. And so today we are here to salute you, our elected officials, our city staff, our nonprofits, our business community, and the individuals that make up this community for the passions that you share that build this fabulous community. So thank you.
Thank you, Jared. I'd like to welcome Eloy Ortega from the Bank of Santa Barbara.
Thank you all, and I echo the comments. This is a very, very impressive crowd we have here today. I'm very pleased to be here because, as I was wandering around having a little beverage out in front, everybody kept saying, "Loy, are you lost? You're in Goleta. This isn't Santa Barbara." And even though we're called the Bank of Santa Barbara, soon to be the Bank of Santa Barbara, we are coming to Goleta, and we're very excited to be opening a new office just down the street here, 5880 Calle Real. It's where the old Blockbuster was located. And we're hoping that the city is going to expedite our approval after this sponsorship today. You can always hope, huh? But just to tell you a little bit about the bank, a group of local shareholders, I've been in banking for almost 38 years, and for 38 years I've heard that community banking is going to die. They're going to be gobbled up, and we're going to have nothing but about 2 or 3 mega banks throughout the country. And for 38 years I've thought that's just total bunk. And in 2009, a group of local investors acquired from a large bank, Bank of Santa Barbara. We rebranded it, recapitalized it, cleaned it up, and today we have a truly community bank owned primarily by 3 large philanthropists in town. The Hutton Parker Foundation, the Orfila Family Foundation, and Tim and Bernie Marcus from Beneco Oil. Those 3 individual units give a lot to this community. Their investment in the Bank of Santa Barbara is a strong commitment to this community that we're here for the long haul. We're here to serve this community, and their intention is, as we pay dividends from our profits, they're going to plow that back into contributions to the nonprofit sector. It's a win-win-win all the way around. We're very pleased to start getting involved, even though some of our staff here has been in the part of the Goleta market for some time. But I'm very excited to get here, and I look forward to many more of these functions. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Eloy. I'd like to take this chance to thank our other sponsors. These businesses contribute to the Chamber and to the community. Without their support, we could not be the voice of business in the Goleta Valley. As I call your name, would a representative from each sponsor please stand and remain standing, and then we're going to all clap for you all at the end, so hold your applause. Our corporate sponsors are the Toads Group and Veneco, Business First Bank and ATK Space, Cabrillo Business Park and UCSB. Stand up, stand up. Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck and Fleer. ParentClick.com and Cox. And our supporting sponsors are Latitude 34 Technologies, the Santa Barbara Airport, Peleus and O'Kelly, Bacara, Wilson Printing, Marmalade Cafe, and our media sponsors Newshawk, Pacific Coast Business Times, and the Santa Barbara Independent. Now listen to this. All of you table sponsors, we're glad that you're here as well, and they are Camino Real Marketplace, City Ventures, Community West Bank, Dudek, Goleta Valley Cottage Hospital, Montecito Bank and Trust, Pacifica Commercial Realty, Pepperdine Graziadio School of Business, Radius Group, Santa Barbara Airbus, Santa Barbara Association of Realtors. I was supposed to be clicking, right? You got it. Santa Barbara Metropolitan Transit District, Santa Barbara Bank and Trust, Western States Petroleum Association, and a special thank you to AMS Entertainment, of course, the Elks Club for being here, and Linda Blue Photography. Look at this business crowd. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have business and government together, and we have also a large attendance from our elected officials who represent us every day. I'd like to ask the same if you would stand when I call your name, and we'll clap for you all together. Our Goleta Mayor, Ed Easton. Goleta Mayor Pro Tem, Roger Aceves. Goleta City Council members, Michael T. Bennett, Margaret Connell, and Paula Perotti. President of the Goleta Water District Board, Bill Rosen. Goleta Union School District Board Member, Valerie Kushnerov. Goleta Sanitary District Board Member, George Emerson. Goleta West Sanitary District Board Member, Eva Turenchok. Mayor of Santa Barbara, Helene Schneider. 3rd District Supervisor, Doreen Farr. Sheriff, Bill Brown. County Clerk, Recorder, and Assessor, Joe Holland. President of the Santa Barbara Unified School District, Susan Deacon. From Supervisor Janet Wolf's office, Jane Ferry. From Senator Tony Strickland's office, Mike Stoker. And from Congresswoman Lois Kapp's office, Sharon Siegel. Thank you all very much. It's a great day, it's a great crowd, and we have a wonderful message for you today. So it is my great pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Goleta, Mr. Ed Easton.
I want to thank the Chamber for once again hosting this great event. I'm both honored and amazed to be standing before you representing our city as the mayor. It's been a tremendously humbling experience. We could not do this work we need to complete, without a dedicated staff at the city. So I'm going to introduce a number of people because we have a number of employees here, and I would be remiss in not recognizing them. They're the ones that do the work. I would ask all of our staff to stand and remain standing when I read your names, and if the rest of you will hold your applause until I get through. Vito Adamisis. Vito, where are you? Mary Jo Alonzo. Butch Arnaldi. Steve Chase. Steve, can you get up? Rosemarie Gaglione. Tim Giles. He's also carrying a cane. Michelle Green. Valerie Kushnerov. Valerie Kushnerov had the major role in planning and organizing this event for the city. Let's give her just a special one. Cindy Moore, Tina Rivera, Pat Saley, Marty Schultz, Dan Singer, Jaime Valdez, Steve Wagner, and Ann Wells. Applause for all. Thank you to all of them. They serve you. Back in 2001, voters passed Measure H to incorporate as the city of Goleta. I understand there were many supporters, but others had doubts about what cityhood would entail. Would there be a lot of growth or no growth? Would the city be responsive to the wants and needs of its constituents? What flavor would the new city have, and what would cityhood be like? Well, over the last 10 years, we've had our challenges and opportunities, but we are certainly far stronger than we were back then. We still have new challenges and opportunities, but I believe we are a happier, healthier community today with much to look forward to. You'll hear more about this from Mr. Wagner and Mr. Singer in just a few moments. But please sit back and enjoy a PowerPoint which highlights some of the city's accomplishments. Reflect on your own experiences over the last 10 years in the city of Goleta. Scott? As you saw, much has been done over the last 10 years, and we look forward to the next 10. Now it's my privilege to invite up our Community Services Director, Steve Wagner, who will present cranes, lanes, and automobiles, building the infrastructure of tomorrow. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Cranes, lanes, and automobiles, building the infrastructure of tomorrow kind of cracked me up when they gave me that slide. I kind of think of Tomorrowland. You remember going into Disneyland? Tomorrowland was always exciting. And they had the little ticket books where you had the e-ticket ride. Remember those? We refer to our capital program as kind of the e-ticket program because there's quite a bit going on and it's a wild ride. It's going to be a wild ride for some time. But I was talking to our staff at the city And I referenced the e-ticket, and they kind of looked at me funny, and I realized that if you're not 45 or so, you probably don't know what the e-ticket is. But anyways, it's my pleasure to give you a brief overview of the city's capital improvement program, really to just briefly cover what is it, why it's needed, what it means to you and your business, and how you can stay more informed as the city implements this capital program. Because we're going to be doing things all over the city, as I'll show you briefly. First of all, what is it? The Capital Improvement Program, or CIP, is a list of proposed improvement projects that are needed to serve the community through 2030 and beyond. 2030 was our planning horizon when we did our general plan in 2005, and that seemed like a long ways away in 2005. Here we are, 2012. 2030 is not going to be too far off based on the last 10 years and how fast they went by. Beyond is when we're doing capital projects and capital projects for the city. These are roads, bridges, buildings, parks, flood control channels, all the public infrastructure stuff that you use every day going to and from your business. So that's really what the capital improvement program is for a city. The list of projects evolves constantly as new needs are identified. So while we have a list today and we've forecast out quite a long period on what we think we need, things change. Stuff happens. We find out, well, the bridge that we thought was going to last another 30 years is deteriorating and needs to be replaced sooner than we thought. New projects come online that may cause the need for different projects and that we haven't anticipated. So just understand that it's a constant evolving program, as with any city. So in thinking about the capital improvement program, you got to understand there's several drivers, what creates it and creates the need for it and the timing of it. And those are basically existing deficiencies, the general plan policies, the policies that we have in our general plan, plan development, and then the funding or the availability of funding. Now, first on deficiencies, no one likes to be referred to as deficient. So I'll say there's challenges, and the city still has a lot of challenges based on how it developed over the years. If any of you have been here for a good deal of time, you'll remember all the agricultural fields that used to be all over Goleta Valley. In fact, right across the street, before the hotel went in, that was a lemon orchard, and you had that all around. Well, the city was developed kind of out of that agricultural roots, not really in planning for the community that has become. So we have a lot of challenges. There's roadway connections that aren't constructed. There's, and you can think of Cali Real that maybe doesn't go through the entire valley. There's things that we need to do that weren't really planned for or done. So those are kind of the challenges we have. As far as the future, Goleta's become quite a bustling city, 30,000 people. And there's still a lot planned for this city, and that's where we kind of joke about the e-ticket ride. There is a lot planned and in process. So our capital program is responsive to what the planned growth and planned development is. I love this snapshot. This is a cumulative projects map list from probably the end of 2011 to kind of show you just there's planned projects all over the city that are being either entitled or in the process of being entitled and being planned to go in construction. And so our capital program really responds, is built out in response to a lot of that demand. That prior map, just if you look at it in summary, there's close to 1,500, I think, residential units either entitled or in the entitlement process. There's over 1.8 million square feet of industrial commercial square footage has been approved. There's several hotels with about 500 rooms being planned. So there's a lot going on in terms of plan development here in the city of Goleta. So what is our current program? Our current program consists of close to 70 projects, 67 projects that total over $210 million in estimated construction costs. That's a very aggressive capital program for a city our size And given just the number of residents, the number of staff we have in the city, we have a staff of 3 that runs our capital improvement program. So out of those 67 projects, right now, in response to that, the plan development, the deficiencies, and some of the available funding, we have 22 active projects totaling over $106 million. So there's a lot on our plate that we're moving forward in response to the planned growth here in the community. So people always ask, well, how does a small city like Goleta, how do you do this? Where do you get your funding? And we've been very successful and very fortunate to obtain a lot of outside funding, leveraging a lot of grant funding, state and federal funding. Here's some funding sources for the capital improvement program. There's, of course, state and federal funds. These might be bridge funding or transportation funding. They could be park funding. There's all sorts of state and federal funds that come out. We also have a local sales tax, Measure A. If you remember, you voted on that recently. That's a 30-year half-cent sales tax. Those funds are allocated back through the region to the city for transportation improvement projects. We collect development impact fees, and those are fees that developers pay for their fair share of these improvements. We also have the general fund, and we also go after, like I said, various other grants, transportation and other types of grants for funding. So in the near term, if you remember that $210 million, that $106 million, what's really on the near term? What do we actually have either budgeted or programmed? And right now, budgeted in our 2-year budget, there's $35 million budgeted for our capital program. And there's another $30 million programmed, meaning it's not in our budget this cycle. It'll be in our budget in the next couple of cycles, but it's been programmed by the various funding sources. So again, a lot going on. I'm not going to take you through 22 active projects. It'd take forever, but I do want to highlight a few projects, some that you may know about. Oh wait, first I want to tell you about the project delivery timeline. One of the challenges we have with our projects is they do take a long time to develop and deliver. We have to go through, on a large project, the environmental review process, preliminary engineering, the design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction. And on a big project, this could be 5 or 10 years out. So to get an idea of the timeline of these projects, you got to remember there's especially with state and federal funding, because all those funding sources have rules and requirements on how they're to be used and what you need to do to use them. So capital project funding is one of the primary drivers of the timing of when these capital projects can be built. So while we say 22 active projects, there's some smaller subset of those 22 that are actually you're going to see built in the next few years. There's a handful of those that we're working on now that you won't see for probably another 10 years. Okay, so a couple of projects just to highlight, tell you about. San Jose Creek Capacity Improvement and Fish Passage Project. This is one of those classic 10-year projects. This project existed before the city became a city. We inherited it and we started delivering this project. We are just now getting into construction, and it's the project you'll see if you go down Highway 217. They got the barriers up, and you'll see cranes like this one and drill rigs on the left hand of the slide up here. They're actually drilling the holes where they're placing the beams that's the structural support for the future flood control channel. The channel on the right side, that's the existing channel. The entire channel along 217 is going to be removed and replaced with a larger channel. We're going to replace the Hollister Bridge to allow for 100-year flood protection, which removes the majority of Old Town out of the flood hazard. This has been a priority project for the city since incorporation. We're excited that it's starting, and it's one you're going to hear more about. It'll be probably 2 years in construction. Another project coming up that you're going to see is one of several on the Los Caneros corridor. The first one out to construction this summer is going to be the city's first roundabout at the intersection of Los Caneros and Cali Real. Other projects on Los Caneros in the next few years, we're going to be replacing the bridge over the railroad that's called the overhead. There's going to be widening done for that project. There's also going to be frontage improvements down as part of the Deckers development south of Hollister. So the entire Los Caneros corridor is going to be under construction and part of the capital improvement program for several years. This is an overview of the Los Caneros Cali Real roundabout. So these are just a few of the projects that that are either in construction or will be in construction this year. But like I said, there's a lot of other projects and a lot of other information that I don't want to bore you with. But I do want to give you a tool on how you can stay informed. The city's created a new website. It's called projectgoleta.com. And we really encourage you to go take a look at this website, because on it, it covers all the projects that we have in process. It gives you a lot of information, projects on the horizon. There's detailed information. Something like San Jose Creek is such a large project, it actually links you to its own website where you can get up-to-date information on the construction schedule, and maybe there's closures and detours. And again, this is what's important for your business, your customers, as you're trying to get to and from work. So there's a lot of information that we've put together on this website to get that type of information out. As you go through it, there's, again, on the horizon, completed projects, just a lot of good information. The Cathedral Oaks Interchange project that we just recently completed, that's the new bridge over the highway, the new interchange out there at Winchester. We're proud of that project. It just got an award from the American Public Works Association as Project of the Year. So really excited that one was recently completed. That finished a vital link between Cathedral Oaks and Hollister. There's also a map on this website, the interactive map. You can go in and click on the graphic for the construction project, and it'll pull up information. You can link to the site. So if you're just more visual and you know where your business is, you might say, well, there's 3 projects in the vicinity of my business. I'd like to see what these are, when they're going to go under construction, and how will they affect us. So it's a nice interactive map. And then at the end of every page, at the bottom, there's an opportunity to actually sign up for emails if you want to receive emails on a project. Say you're very close to a certain project and you're concerned about the construction phasing, maybe the detouring or whatnot. You can actually go on this website, sign up just to receive information on that site. And every time we update the project site information on those types of milestones, you can get an update. You can sign up for something you're just interested in. You can sign up for all of them, whatever. But it's a great way just to have that information just kind of set to you on an as-needed basis. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So we have all the social media things going on too. So again, a lot of information on this now. And in summary, it is a very ambitious program the city has. And it is in response to the needs of the planned growth and what's going on. And it's got projects in all phases of development right now. And you can get a lot of good information. So we encourage you to go take a look at that projectgoleta.com if you get a chance. So now that I've had a chance to tell you a little bit about the city's capital improvement program and the costs, I'd like to invite up our city manager, Dan Singer, to talk a little bit about the city's financial picture and how it relates to the local community. So Dan.
Afternoon. Quite an impressive crowd. Looking from the size of it, it looks like we've grown by 40 or 50 people this year. People always ask me if I get real nervous about speaking in front of a large group, but earlier this week I had my first ever colonoscopy. And let me just say, you guys look great. I'm not nervous at all. And I'm not even 50 yet, so I'm really happy to be standing here before you today. You know, as the mayor said, we've come to the end of our 10th year, and our 10th fiscal year ends at the end of the month of June. So this is a really kind of a wonderful time for us to reflect a little bit on where we now stand as a city, ending that chapter in our history of 10 years and looking beyond. And part of the reason that that's a significant milestone for us is that when the city incorporated and was required to move forward with a tax exchange agreement with the county of Santa Barbara, there was what's called a mitigation period in that agreement that said for a 10-year period, the county was going to keep certain local taxes,
but after those 10 years, they'd be given back to the city. So as we go into our 11th year, there's a significance in terms of our revenue outlook. The county continues after the 10 years in perpetuity to receive some of those taxes, but you'll see in a minute how it impacts our overall revenues. And you know, we've really learned a lot about what makes Goleta tick over these 10 years. Why is it that we have fared a little bit better than others in this economic downturn? And what opportunities and challenges do we have and successes do we have that we can celebrate moving forward? So I'm going to really split my presentation today into two parts. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about our city budget. After all, this is a state of the city. And then I'm going to focus really the balance of that presentation on what makes our community tick. What are our community's economics? And I think you'll come away from this with some pretty favorable impressions today. Lest you think, however, that the picture for Goleta is all rosy, you know, as Steve's already noted, we certainly do have our fair share of challenges ahead. And I would just highlight a few of those. We're seeing, of course, a rising cost of public safety services. And I know the media's here. I don't want you to misunderstand that that means that we don't have a fabulous relationship with the Sheriff's Department and that we're very well served by that relationship. And it's a goal of our City Council to continue to sustain the service levels that we enjoy. And so we have challenges in that regard financially. Of course, as Mr. Wagner just pointed out, we've got a lot of projects going on, and funding those projects, making them happen in a way that's beneficial to our community is a challenge for us. And finally, many of you probably have heard over this last 6 months that we've now lost our redevelopment agency, just like 400 others around the state of California. What that means for us is a loss of over $3 million a year that would have been coming into Old Town Goleta. Still, I would characterize my presentation today as cautious optimism. So let's begin by examining the city's budget. And I apologize up front, this crowd has grown so much, I realize now that some of these slides are going to be pretty hard for some of you to see. We'd be happy to make these presentations available. I believe, in fact, we'll be putting them on our website. And if anyone wants further material provided today, we'll do that for you. You know, like everyone, over these last few years of economic downturn, we saw our revenues decline, especially from the years 2008 through 2010. As represented in the chart with the bright red line, we kind of bottomed out really about 2 years ago, and things have steadily improved since then. Even with a healthy rebound the past 2 years, we're still today, though, well below our 5-year historic average. That should be a slide everyone can see and relate to. In 2007, our general fund totaled just over $16.5 million, whereas this current fiscal year, just over $15 million. But there are pretty significant changes on the horizon, as I noted with our revenue neutrality agreement, beginning with the next fiscal year, which starts in just 44 days from now. We are going to begin to be able to collect much larger portions of our sales tax and of our transient occupancy tax, the TOT, or what's known as bed tax. You'll see our current year budget of $15.3 million was actually augmented by our City Council. That's that bright red sliver there. They used about $1 million of reserves this fiscal year in order to balance our budget and not have to cut back too greatly on our service levels, but with an eye towards not only using existing reserves, but the fact that we were going to see improved economics starting this next year. Therefore, as we compare that to this coming fiscal year, we go from $15.3 million all the way to over $18.7 million. Pretty significant jump. I think there's a lot of organizations out there that would love to know that their revenues were growing in 1 year by 20%. Of course, we've been needing to plan for that for some time, cutting back services and using reserves in order to get to the start of this next fiscal year. Here's a little bit of how it breaks down. And what you can see is that for the first time in Goleta's history, sales tax will become our biggest revenue source at over 30% of our total revenues, whereas as of today it was property tax and bed tax come out about even in terms of a second place. And we become a little less dependent on those smaller sources of income. They shrink as a portion of the total pie. I know most of you can't see these numbers, but I'll highlight there that essentially what happens for us is a large increase in the sales tax category and almost an equally large increase in our bed tax category. Now, this isn't only because of the increased bump we get through the tax exchange agreement. It's also because of an improving economy. And we're thankful to see a new hotel, Courtyard by Marriott, that's opening up on Stork Road. It'll open this fall. That will also contribute to the bed tax outlook. So as we now project forward, you can see we'll be at historic highs starting this next fiscal year with a much healthier budget, and most of those revenues are of an ongoing nature. So if I'm reporting to you in a year or two from now, I suspect that we'll start to then kind of level out unless we head into some dramatic economic slide again, and be in that 18, 19 million range in the years coming ahead. So that really gives you a sense of where we're at. Obviously, the outlook for us is positive, giving the council an opportunity to really focus on public safety as a priority, on the capital infrastructure that Mr. Wagner talked about, and on really all of their goals for the community. But now let me turn to what I think is equally impressive, which is Goleta's economics. So what is it that we know about our community's economics? You know, we know we're not really a tourist town like the city of Santa Barbara. We also know we're not really just a university town. But really, who are we? What does make our economics tick? I'd like to share with you what I think are some exceptional statistics and demographics that help to paint a picture about what Goleta's business climate is today and how it's changed. And I want to start with a brief discussion about demographics. It takes a healthy demographics to have a healthy economy, but of course, a healthy economy makes healthy demographics. So I'm not sure which comes first, but I thought I would start with this first in my presentation. And I'll go slowly here because I recognize not all of you can necessarily see what these slides are about. But we have a household income that's exceptionally high for basically a rural community like ours. We have household poverty levels that are well below the state average. State and counties average are in the mid-20s for households earning less than $35,000 a year. Ours is in the 17 to 18% range. I'm not saying that's something to boast about, but we also recognize that because of college transient group, especially our graduate students, that oftentimes their household incomes are low because they're busy going to school. So we're very fortunate in that regard. And when you look up in the middle class and the higher class, as depicted in those yellow bars there, Goleta sits well above both the county on average as well as the state. We have an extremely educated population, and I realize you can't see and read all of these categories here, so let me just tell you that on the far left is the group that doesn't even have a high school education. And yet we're a good 7 or 8% higher or lower as a community for those that are basically without a high school education. And moving to the far right, you see associate and college degrees, and then the very far right, graduate level and professional degrees. And we sit anywhere from 5 to 7% higher than both the county average and the statewide average. Again, these demographics demonstrate we have an educated community that's able to fill those higher paying jobs. Finally, as we look at occupations, it's quite clear that Goleta is very much a white-collar town. We sit at about 67% of our employment jobs that are of a white-collar nature, as opposed to other parts of the county that might be more agricultural or service-related or blue-collar and manufacturing. Clearly, Goleta stands out as a place where we're primarily white-collar jobs. So it's no wonder that with these strong demographics, that what's really maturing in Goleta is an economic condition that is ripe for business and business success. You know, so one of the things that allows that success starts with space. And I'm not talking about outer space, I'm talking about the room for businesses to take root and grow. Businesses of any size that knows that they can be here in Goleta and have the growth of their business stay here. When you look at the entire Tri-County region, stemming all the way from Paso Robles, the north end, all the way down to the LA County line, Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley, there's quite a few large cities, many, if not most, which are a good bit larger than Goleta's. And yet we're home to 3 of the top 10 largest office parks in the entire Tri-County region, 8 of the top 24. This includes the Cabrillo Business Park, which isn't even built out in total. Said another way, though, and maybe more impressively, is when you look at it on a percentage basis, Goleta is home to 34% of the large office space market in the entire Tri-County region. You have cities that are 5 times our size in places like Oxnard, and they're not even really captured there on this pie chart. So it starts to help appreciate that we've got room for businesses not only to start here, but to be able to grow and remain here. Second, we've got incredible intellectual capital, and we know that being next to the university is a large part of that. Our demographics are as well. So we took a look at where Goleta sits today as a major employer, and we looked back 5 years and compared that to today. And a number of you are not going to be able to see what's on this list. So let me take just a minute to point some of it out. Goleta for many years was led by Raytheon as the largest employer, still is today, although it has contracted, but it at one time 5 years ago had about 1,800 employees, followed by the Bacara Resort, Bargain Networks, just under 700 employees, Inamed with 500, and then it dropped down into the high to mid 200s with Yardi Systems, Carl Stores, Costco, Home Depot, Mentor, Kmart, going all the way down to the 11th and 12th largest was also Cottage Hospital and Vaughn's Market. When you start to compare in just 5 years what our business climate looks like today, it's changed significantly. And I'd like to highlight some of that for you. Needless to say, in 5 years, which seems like a short period of time, there's actually been a lot of changes. So it's clear that companies do grow and contract over time. You have companies like Raytheon and Bacara that have downsized over that 5-year period. You have other companies, for example, Inamed, that along with Allergan have merged, and we've seen that occur a lot in the valley. And of course, as the case with Bargain Networks and other firms, we've seen them just fold up and close shop and leave town. So understandably, those kinds of things occur. Meanwhile, though, others have filled the void. And 5 years ago, you had companies like Citrix and FLIR nowhere near our top 12, and now they're number 4 and number 6 on this list. And what I think is really impressive is that 5 years ago, when you total up the number of employees from our 6th largest to our 12th largest group, it was representative of about 4% of the total employment market for Goleta. Today it stands at over 7%. Or said another way, and maybe more valuably, that same 6 through 12 5 years ago made up about 1,400 jobs. Today it's over 2,100 jobs, an increase of 700 jobs in that period of time. So while some are contracting, others here in the area are growing. Maybe most impressively, 5 years back, if you were a major big box retailer, you know, a Home Depot, a Costco, even a Vaughn's Marketplace, a grocery store, you made our top 12 list. Today, you don't come anywhere close to that. You have to have over 200 employees to even make this list. This list doesn't even include the fact that Deckers will be celebrating moving into Goleta. They break ground and start their construction project out of the Cabrillo site next month. So we'll be welcoming them on that list coming in a year or two from now. Those are our major employers. What about the rest? This is the exciting part to me. Because when we look at the recent headlines of dozens of companies that have attracted new investment, venture capital, grants and federal monies, and new products and reinvestment, the quantity of recent success stories and I mean truly recent, in the last year and a half, is really astonishing. So I'm going to just put up here a number of headlines for you, take them in, and mostly look at the dollar figures that are associated with some of these companies that are bringing in new money. Pretty impressive stuff. You know, last year we shattered the previous investment levels with over $200 million coming into Goleta companies in new investment. $200 million. The previous year, over $100 million. And this year alone, just 4 months into the fiscal year, we've far exceeded that investment level from 1.5 years back. Taken all together, $463 million of new money that we're aware of. There's probably plenty of investments that happen on a daily basis and transactions that you're all aware of that never hit these headlines. That's real dollars. And what it means for a community our size is anyone's guess. But certainly there's got to be a ripple effect when you bring in those kinds of dollars to companies that are bringing about new technologies, new ideas, because they're going to need more space. They're going to need more employees. They're going to reinvest in their company. They're going to reinvest in this community. And in that regard, I think that Goleta really stands on the brink of what could be seen as a real boom for really white-collar jobs and the market here associated with the university. You're going to hear a little bit more about that when I bring the mayor up in just a minute. Let me just summarize, again, by just saying, obviously, the city's economics now look fairly bright, and we can say that our budget looks fairly positive, that our business base is strong in part because of our demographics, but also, of course, because of our proximity to the university and the success of the businesses we've seen, and that venture capital investments in Goleta are a clear sign that there's belief in what's happening here in Goleta. Thank you.
Don't let it be said that the old guys don't let the newbie have the best job. It's my privilege to introduce a new initiative at this 5th annual State of the City. This culminates hours of effort over many months by many people from the city, the Goleta Valley Chamber of Commerce, and the University of California at Santa Barbara. We're excited to be working in concert with these great partners for the good of our community. This is the first time a partnership of this nature has come to fruition, and we believe the end result will be beneficial to the entire region. I'll leave that there. With me today are Jean Lucas, Executive Vice Chancellor of UCSB, and Kristen Amex. Kristen Miller, President and CEO of the Goleta Valley Chamber of Commerce. Together, we represent the 3 organizations which are proud to launch GEM.
That's a venture capitalist going.
There's somebody already heard about it.
GEM is the Goleta Entrepreneurial Magnet. Let me say that again because it's something you want to remember. GEM stands for Goleta Entrepreneurial Magnet. GEM is a collaboration of business, government, and education, formed to strengthen the local economy by supporting new and growing technological entrepreneurs. Our vision is simply to have the Goleta Valley recognized as a world-class center of excellence in entrepreneurial technology development and growth. Now, how do we plan to implement this vision? And what does it mean to the community? GEM is significant because it will serve as a conduit to integrate the resources of business, education, and government. The cutting-edge innovators will have the tools to move their products from ideas to the market. GEM will also create a community for new and growing entrepreneurs to connect and network with others who share their passion for starting something new. Entrepreneurs are a special group of people with unique skills and needs. GEM will bring them together, both in person and virtually. Finally, GEM will strengthen the economic vitality of the Goleta Valley through job creation and retention. These will be high-quality positions that will bring the finest minds we have to the technologies of today and, even more importantly, tomorrow. The first step for GEM is to create a website that will collect and house key information and resources needed for these startup companies to mature and grow. Need a space to start a business? The GEM site will have information on commercial property leasing and purchase. If a business license or building permit is required, the website will have that information as well. In short, GEM will provide web-based resources for the Goleta entrepreneur wanting to start and grow a business, from permitting to finding a workforce and everything in between. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Gene Lucas.
Thank you. And thank you, Ed. It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon to talk about GEM. Now, UC Santa Barbara has quite a long history, actually, in the startup business, going back to the late 1980s with companies like Digital Instruments, Agility, and Computer Motion. Now, our multiple missions in the University of California are teaching, research, and public service. And by supporting and launching startups, we satisfy two of those. We take research that's done at UCSB and convert it into a public good, be that more efficient buildings, more efficient lighting, or diagnoses and drugs and therapies for cancer and other diseases. So our startups also bring high-quality jobs to the community and help stimulate the economic vitality that we look at so much for here in Goleta. So our name is UC Santa Barbara, of course, but our neighbor is Goleta, and we've always been appreciative of the whole Goleta area in terms of their support for our technology and our startups. So we have approximately 4 to 6 startups come out of UCSB each year, and many of the entrepreneurs that start these up want to live and grow their business in Goleta as a whole. I've got a little graphic here that should show where the businesses are. There they come up. And you see a number of question marks, and that's not because we don't know what the name of the business is, because that's a business that hasn't started up yet. So we're looking at the future as well as today. Several of our startups are here today, and I just want to read them. Sora is here. I'll say more about that in a second. Spectra Fluidics, Life Cell Technology, Next Energy Technologies, Gas Reaction Tech, Aptitude Medical and Agile, and Citrix. And we're really delighted that they could be here today to be part of this whole process. So I'm pointing to the businesses here with a nice bright pointer that's actually been developed here and manufactured in Goleta. It's Sora, using next generation LED technology. And this pointer then represents what's really good about what GEM is going to do in the area as a whole. It's UCSB research, and it's Goleta Valley product development. So I want to just say that GEM provides UCSB with an important collaboration, linking our startup and entrepreneurs to representatives on the board and in the chamber and in the city. And together we can build a support network for our new companies and contribute to the economic vitality and the quality of life in Goleta Valley. So thank you very much for being here today to hear about GEM. I turn it over to Kristen.
So technology companies, a tech-savvy website will bring bright ideas to market. But it's us, the people involved, the connections we make with each other, the communication and collaboration between us that will truly power success. The magnet drawing us together in GEM starts today. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Formally, I'm the last speaker standing between you and the exit. So this fifth state of the city is going to be taped and broadcast on Cox 8 and the Goleta City TV, so we thank them for doing that. Thank you very much. And the one public announcement I need to make is that the chamber event for meeting those candidates, I noticed none of them took me up on that offer I gave them, that 20-second commercial. But you do get to meet them, though, next Wednesday at the Butler Center. The Chamber's sponsoring that, and we look forward to having you come out and actually meet and greet them at that time. So I hope you enjoyed this. I think it was a great event. I hope you enjoyed it and you thought the same. And have a great afternoon. Thank you all for coming.